This woke Christian Super Bowl ad was ridiculous. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about this ridiculously woke Christian Super Bowl ad that has been going viral all over the internet after it appeared during the big game last night. Now, before I continue, congrats to Taylor Swift. The Kansas City Chiefs for winning yet again their third big game in about 5 to 6 years under Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. Shout out to them. Congrats to them. Now, this ad is causing a lot of controversy. And the reason it's so controversial is because people are having a hard time being able to agree on the validity of it. So before we get to it, the ad shows people washing the feet of other people. And these people that are getting their feet washed, you got the LGBT, your Antifa, Black Lives Matter types. You get all these kind of people in the ad. Now, what I said on Twitter before I get to my detailed opinion, what I said is what's typical of subversive people is to mix truth and lies together with a perverted worldview in messaging and marketing and these kind of things. So you are able to convince people who may have a certain faith or whatever to believe one way in which they normally are not going to believe, to think one way, behave one way that's different than normal. Now, this is happening right now all over the USA and the world with church in general, where you got your LGBT pastors and all kind of other drag queen story time, all these things going on inside of church. I think this commercial is an extension of it. Now, we're going to get into a little bit of theology and whatnot, but first, we got to check out the actual commercial. And of course, if you want to see this for some reason, I will link to it in the box. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it. Now, of course, we do have some music here, so I may need to pause it or mute the music. So if that happens, just be ready for it. All right.
Don't ask me what you know is true.
So you see the scenes. This is all done by, I believe, a photographer. Some said that it looked like it might have been AI. I'm not quite sure that's true.
Don't have to tell you.
So this is what appears to be an abortion clinic.
I love your precious heart.
We got somebody that's dealing with some alcoholism, probably some drug addiction, things of this nature, in a squalid household. Now, what you have here is a climate protester, maybe somebody that's working in the oil field, and then somebody that's protesting them.
I was standing.
You got some migrants coming. So you see who's getting their feet washed, right? Because understand, if the message is about washing the feet of those you may disagree with or have differences of opinion with, look at who's getting their feet washed.
You were there.
Now you got somebody wearing a hijab. It's like a white family washing the feet of a Muslim woman.
Two worlds collided.
And what you have here, it's like a BLM type of situation, protest.
And they could never tear us apart.
Got two elderly guys, black guy, white guy. And of course, this one, you have LGBT black male who was wearing roller skates, getting his feet washed by maybe some kind of pastor or something. You see the cross, the crucifix, and then he has regular dress clothes on. And then I'm going to turn this down because it's just straight up music here. It says, Jesus didn't teach hate, and he washed feet.
We can live.
He gets us, all of us. Jesus, he gets us.com/love your neighbor. So that's the commercial that ran on Super Bowl. I'm not quite sure what the number is. 1 million by now. So now there's a lot that I want to address. First of all, the captions on the He Gets Us Twitter versus what they say on YouTube. This is part of what I talk about when I say you're mixing truth and lies together. So you see the caption here. Jesus washed the feet of friends and enemies. No ego or hate. He humbly loved his neighbors. How can we do the same? Now, let's look at the words that they use. He washed the feet of friends and enemies, is what it says, right? Okay. Now, let's go to the YouTube where it might be kind of hard to read. I'm gonna zoom in as far as I can. It says, the night before he died, Jesus got his friends and followers together. That's different than friends and enemies, isn't it? The night before he died, Jesus got his friends and followers together and washed their feet as a symbolic example of how they should humble themselves while dignifying and valuing others. How would our contentious world change if people, especially those with opposing ideologies, took off their shoes and washed each other's feet? And then they get more into their interpretation of theology on their website, okay? Now, there's a few things. First of all, what you said on Twitter and what you said on YouTube is different. Washing the feet of your friends and enemies, or was it just your friends and followers? In reality, he washed the feet of his disciples. Now, this did include Judas, who later betrayed him. And you could say that Jesus knew that he would be betrayed for 30 pieces of silver. But at the time where he washed his feet, he did not betray him. Now, if I'm wrong on anything I'm saying, let me know in the comments below. Basically, he washed the feet of his disciples, not just random people that he did not agree with, not just people who were sinners or whatever like that. And also, he was able to call out the sin, call out things for being, one way, being not the right way. Also, in the commercial, you got certain assumptions that are made, like a white family and the Muslim family wouldn't get along just because of their different backgrounds. Okay, you're making a bunch of assumptions. You're talking about the whole LGBT thing. Like you're presenting the worldview one way. It's kind of a perverted worldview. You're presenting the worldview one way in which you think people are. And then you're saying, hey, you shouldn't be racist, white person, against that Muslim family. You should wash their feet instead. You see, that's kind of what I get from it. And again, you're mixing the truth and lies together. Jesus did not wash random people's feet that he didn't agree with. It was his disciples. And then you could have just put that out there rather than making it be something else. But see, now that would talk about leadership and patriarchy and males being able to be in the lead. And we can't have that in the modern day church where you got female pastors and LGBT pastors and everything else. We can't have heterosexual male leadership. That's not a thing. So you got to take the word in the Bible and twist it and pervert it into whatever you want it to be. Okay. Again, this is how you end up with drag queen story time and everything else inside the church. These are not Christian values. These are not things that should be accepted. Now, some are going to say, well, hey, ABL, what about come as you are? We're not going to judge all this, that, and the third. Well, look, I mean, if it's like that, then what's the point of having a Bible? What's the point of having consequences and things that will happen to you if you do the wrong thing? Okay. It's just kind of crazy. But as I close, I want to say this. I'm not surprised at this ad at all, because this unfortunately has become popular modern day Christianity. Okay. Now you got a lot of churches out there that are like, I'm not going to name any churches. We had a little incident over in Houston I'll get to a little bit later in a different video. So I'm not going to name any churches, but this kind of thing is going on way too much. It's becoming accepted. It's becoming normal. And it is ruining the experience of church for a lot of people, namely heterosexual men of all colors. Church, in a greater sense in the West, as far as especially like popular churches, I'm not referring to the small churches, but churches have become havens for LGBT women and small children with no men in sight. And you're wondering why there's problems like this that occur. It's not hard to tell, but I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your takeaway from the commercial? Did you like the commercial? Did you not like the commercial? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I think this is a way for people that are subversive to enter into institutions and try to change things into their own worldview. I'm no theologian. I'm not even a Christian, but I grew up around the church. I've read the Bible. I know a little bit about a little bit. And from what I read, if I was being brought to the church and they said, hey, ABO, come back to the church, we got this going on, that would not convince me at all. Not as a heterosexual male, not in the least bit. Now, maybe if I was LGBT or if I smoked crack for a living, maybe it'd kind of help me, but it wouldn't really help me get to where I want to be in a positive way in my life. But that's just my humble opinion. And whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.